The year was 1347. A ghostly silence clung to the air as black-sailed ships drifted into the Sicilian port of Messina. On board were not only sailors, many of them dead or dying, but also stowaways that would change the course of human history. Fleas infested with Yersinia pestis, the bacterium responsible for the most terrifying pandemic the world had ever seen. What began as a mysterious illness spread like wildfire across continents, leaving death, despair, and social upheaval in its wake. The Black Death had arrived in Europe, and no one, peasant, priest, or prince, was safe. Welcome to History in a Hurry. I'm Eli Stone, and in this episode we will learn about the Black Death. The Black Death, also known as the bubonic plague, was one of the most devastating pandemics in recorded history. It struck Europe between 1347 and 1351, killing an estimated 25 to 50 million people, around one-third of the continent's population at the time. The plague originated in Central Asia and traveled along trade routes, such as the Silk Road, reaching Crimea before hitching a ride on Genoese trading ships bound for Italy. Once it made landfall in Europe, it spread rapidly through port cities and inland by rivers, trade roads, and human contact. The disease manifested in three main forms: bubonic, pneumonic, and septicemic. Bubonic plague was the most common and was characterized by the appearance of swollen lymph nodes, or buboes, which were dark and painful. Pneumonic plague attacked the lungs and was transmitted via coughing or sneezing, making it far more contagious. Septicemic plague, the rarest but deadliest form, infected the bloodstream and often killed its victims within hours. Victims could experience fever, vomiting, delirium, and black spots on the skin caused by subdermal bleeding, hence the name Black Death. Medical knowledge at the time was primitive, and no one understood the true cause of the disease. Many believed it was divine punishment for humanity's sins. Others blamed groups such as the Jewish population, leading to horrifying pogroms and massacres in cities across Europe. Physicians, known as plague doctors, wore iconic beaked masks filled with aromatic herbs to ward off miasmas, or bad air, which they wrongly thought carried the disease. Some desperate measures, like bloodletting and burning incense, were not only ineffective but often worsened the situation. The plague ravaged urban centers with terrifying speed. Cities like Florence, Paris, and London were hit especially hard due to dense populations and poor sanitation. Bodies piled up faster than they could be buried, and the stench of death permeated every corner. Entire families were wiped out. Social order began to crumble. With so many dead or dying, food production collapsed, trade slowed, and economic activity ground to a halt. The labor shortage gave surviving workers more bargaining power, contributing to the gradual decline of the feudal system. Religious institutions were also profoundly affected. The church lost many clergy members who had stayed to minister to the sick, while others fled in fear. This led to a growing mistrust in religious authorities and sowed seeds of spiritual doubt. Movements like the Flagellants, a group that traveled town to town, whipping themselves to atone for humanity's sins, gained traction, reflecting the desperation and confusion of the time. Yet, amid the despair, the Black Death also became a catalyst for long-term change. Laborers demanded better wages and working conditions, contributing to the rise of the middle class. With fewer mouths to feed, food became more plentiful, and living conditions improved for many survivors. Land was redistributed, and the rigid social hierarchy began to loosen. Culturally, the horror of the plague influenced art and literature, giving rise to a darker, more introspective tone that would echo in works like Boccaccio's Decameron, and later, in the macabre imagery of medieval art. Over time, outbreaks of plague would continue to surface, but none would match the scale of the 14th century pandemic. Advances in public health, quarantine measures, and a better understanding of disease transmission eventually helped to control future flare-ups. Modern science later confirmed that the Black Death was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, typically spread through fleas that infested black rats, a common sight on ships and in cities during the medieval period. In retrospect, The Black Death stands not only as a grim chapter in human history, but also as a transformative one. It devastated populations, altered the course of economies, and challenged social and religious structures. Out of unimaginable loss came a reshaped Europe, one that would slowly move toward the Renaissance, rebirth, and revolution. Thanks for racing through history with us on History in a Hurry. If you enjoyed today's quick dive into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a fast-paced trip through time. Please reply in the comments with ideas for our next history lesson. See you in the next one.